Okay, we might kick off. Welcome everyone. As I mentioned, this session is being recorded. So those of you who want to review afterwards can do so, and those who aren't able to join can obviously watch it back as well. Welcome, my name's Steve Elborn. I'm the Director of ITIC, and we've got Jeff Whitten, who's Group Executive Director, and Wade Irvin, who's on the call as well, who's our cyber mentor, who will introduce you to, and we can meet during the session a little bit later on. Jennifer Yang's also on the call. So Jenny's the student engagement and can answer any questions that you have. And after the session, we'll be reaching out to, connect with everyone, and if you choose to join the session, enroll you to that as well. We have also Praneeth, who's a student mentor, and will help with the discussions after the session if you have any questions also. So as I said, my name's Steve Elborn. I'm the Director of ITIC. Our agenda for today is on the screen. Jeff's sharing his screen. I'll be here for the first sort of 10 minutes or so. I've got another quick meeting that I need to jump on, but then I'll join towards the end before we get to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, just save them up towards the end of the session, and then we can have an open discussion with anything that you might ask and engage with myself or the mentors, Jeff and Wade. So the agenda for the session, so I'll tell you a little bit about ITIC for those of you who haven't sort of heard of us in the market and what we do. Then we'll go through the program structure. So the program that we're talking about is Work Integrated Learning, which we've been doing with Macquarie University since 2018. We had the initial information session on Monday where I presented, but given the short time that we had to talk to everyone, we decided to organise a deep dive session today to go through and discuss everything in detail. Next, we'll talk to and introduce the mentors, Jeff and Wade, and then Jeff will take over and talk about the incident response management, which is part of the program that we do, Project Aries, which is our cyber range, and where we assign tasks in a live environment, a simulated environment that's hosted on Microsoft Azure. And then we'll talk about some of our other systems that we do and the work that we do within ITIC in the cyberspace. And then, as I said, I'll rejoin at the end for Q&A for myself and Jeff and Wade. So ITIC has been around since 2001. We are a number of things, and ITIC has sort of grown into three key areas, which is education, which is where we run the internship and work integrated learning programs from. It's systems, so we do things like the call recording platform in Telstra, where if you have a Telstra mobile, we provide the service that sits in the Telstra core to record phone calls. We do software development, so we have some software automation tools and provisioning tools that we've built that we own the IP for, and then we do work in the cyberspace. And that's where our programs, both in this case cybersecurity, software development, and also data science, plug into. So what we do is we use these programs to both give you an opportunity to get some industry experience, as well as a reference and update your CV, train you in some key areas, as well as give you some experience on the tools and platforms that we use. In the cyberspace, just as an example, we recently had a project with a large enterprise customer, and they engaged us to do some basically a cyber audit of their environment. So this included things like checking their Wi-Fi networks to see what could and couldn't be accessed from someone sitting outside the building in the car park, for instance, trying to infiltrate their network. Inside the network, we did things like vulnerability scans, so checking all their servers and their systems to make sure that all of the current patching was up to date, and identifying any issues where things needed to be patched or there was vulnerabilities that could be exploited within the network. And then we also did things like penetration testing. So, hitting the web servers and seeing, what could be done from outside. So simulating that potential unfriendly attack from the outside world trying to infiltrate their network. Then we moved on to things like user awareness. So we actually ran a simulated phishing campaign. So we have tools that will generate emails, which are like you get on your own sort of inbox, where people would be phishing to try and get you to click on a link or through malicious software get access to your computer. So that was an interesting one, because as part of that process, we sent out around 300 emails. They were structured in a way so it looked like it was Microsoft sending the users an email saying your password's just about to expire, please click on the link. Out of the thing that was interesting about it was, out of the 300 users that we sent emails to, we had 50 people click on the link and 20 people actually put in their username and password. So that particular organisation was it was quite an interesting scenario, just purely by the volume of people who actually were susceptible to that phishing attack. So that's the sort of thing we do. We focus on, making sure that security is in place within an environment so that people can't easily or hopefully not at all penetrate the network. We provide reports on that, and then we also do user awareness and education. So it's the proactive side that we focus on as far as preparation, but then it's also the reactive side. So where there is an incident, in a case where on another client they did actually have one user that was compromised, they succumbed to a phishing email and they did enter their username and password, and the people who were responsible for the phishing email then used that to access their account and penetrate the network. So our job was to come in and do an audit after the incident had occurred, look at all the logs, determine through that, what was accessed, whether there was any horizontal sort of incremental access where people create administrator accounts and those sort of things. So went through and audited all that. We did a review on the incident response of the organisation to make sure that they were compliant to their own playbooks and responded in an appropriate way. And then we did some compliance documentation afterwards to, when there is an incident, basically you are, as an organisation, you're responsible to report it within a set period of time, and then also report on root cause, as well as things that have been done to resolve the issues. So we also participate in those things. So when you're looking at a cyber career, there's a couple of key areas that you can focus on initially. One is in that preparation side, so the proactive side, making sure that the networks that you're working on are secure, and that's done through regular tasks like vulnerability and scanning and penetration testing, particularly if you're putting in new systems. And then on the other side is around audit and compliance, where something happens and you go in as a security consultant and investigate and restore those issues. So that's sort of some of the things that we do within ITIC as a professional services organisation, and the program that we run is around giving you the skills to be able to do those sort of tasks as well. So Jeff, do you want to go to the next screen, please? Next on the slide. So cyber career. So one of the things about cybersecurity is it's an in-demand profession. It's a profession that particularly the Australian government is spending lots of money on to build up our cyber skills and cyber resilience. So choosing a cyber career will be something that will be a high demand skill set, and therefore convert to a well-paid and fruitful career as far as choosing that as your career path. The Australian government's spending not millions but billions of dollars on programs at the moment, particularly around cybersecurity. Next slide, Jeff. So our cyber program, it goes in line with your semester at university. So we do 4 weeks of training where we do incident response, which Jeff will dive into and show you, the outcomes of that and what you can benefit from as part of doing that certification through this program. And then secondly, we do the work experience. So we have Project Aries, which is our cyber range. As I mentioned before, that's built on Microsoft Azure. So when you're logging into a switch or a router or a desktop or a server, whether it be Windows Server or Kali Linux, it's actually a real virtual machine that sits within Azure that you'll be working on. So you'll be assigned tasks to do either forensic investigation or things like incident response and also sort of security. Jeff will show you some of the tools as well around pen testing and those sort of things that we use. Okay, next one. And this is the final one for me, which is the introduction to Jeff and Wade. So Jeff, as I mentioned, is the Group Director of ITIC. He's also Ambassador for Cybersecurity for Investment New South Wales, and he also sits on the ASA New South Wales branch committee. Wade works for ePay, which is a financial transactions company, and he is IT Ops Manager and qualified NSA CNSS InfoSec professional. So what I'll do now is I'll hand over to Jeff and Wade just to go through the Incident Response Management certification, Project Aries, and then talk about some of the tools that we use in a day-to-day sense from an ITIC perspective within cybersecurity. As I mentioned, I'll drop off now and I'll come back for the Q&A, but it's great to meet everyone, and I'll hand over to you now, Jeff.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending today. And we use everything that we do in this training program is all online. So we have an ILS system, which I'll show you in a moment, which allows you to log on and refer to the material that we're going to be using in the Cybersecurity Incident Response Management Certification Program. And these are all of the domains that we cover. There are some 16 domains that we go into, and it gives you an insight into the methodology behind incident response management. So the first part of the course is going into the methodologies, understanding all of the methodologies, why you do things, what tools are used, and how you go about the job of doing incident response management. And incident response management is a highly sought after skill because when there is an incident, it needs to be identified, it needs to be remediated, and it needs to have recommendations around how you protect the client's network from that point forward to stop them or mitigate the possibility of further cybersecurity attacks coming into their organisations. And certainly my background is 40 years in the technology industry. I've been a CEO of companies, technology companies, and the two mentors that you're going to be working with, Wade and I, we're both hands-on. So we actually work in the industry. We're experienced across all areas of cybersecurity and other aspects of information technology. And certainly we're here to help you get through the program. And at the end of the program, there is the opportunity to sit for a certification exam to become a certified incident response manager with a recognised industry certification. And the certification is recognised by NICE. NICE and NIST are the global recognised certification programs throughout the world. So if you go for a position for a cyber incident response manager or even officer, and you have a recognised industry certification that you've achieved, it is very highly sought after, as I say. So I'll just quickly just show you a little bit about the ILS system, and I'll just jump out of this particular. So the ILS system, which you'll be given access to if you take up this certification program, is made available for all of the candidates to log into. You'll have your own login details, and as I say, this is where we put all of the material that we're going to be using for the course. All of the sessions are this particular sessions are done by myself, and Wade also gets involved in going through the project areas, which Wade will explain in a moment. But certainly, all of the courses sessions are recorded, so don't worry if you wish to be involved, but you may not be able to attend the sessions during the day. You can log on at any time and review the sessions that have been recorded and the subject matter that we go through. So, as I said, that the course is made up of 16 domains, which go through in detail about the information that is covered in, as you see here in the domains. And each domain also has quizzes, right? So that you can go through and test your knowledge about each of the different domain sessions, so that you can prepare yourself for the certification exam. And certainly we go through the quizzes together in exercises after each session, or the next session, where it gives you a bit of time to refresh your memory for different domains. And certainly the quizzes are not they don't go against your certification program. They're there to practice on. So if you get things wrong, you can just retake the quizzes, and once you're comfortable with the quizzes at the end of the program, you can let Jennifer know that, yes, I'm ready to do my certification exam. And so just be mindful that if you get things wrong in the quiz, it's not, the information is not kept to go against your certification. It's there to allow you to practice. And as you see in the different domains, I'll just go through the domains here. This was a session that we've done recently, so it's got a lot of information on the left-hand side with student assignments and all of the recordings, because this was the last session that we did. So if we look at the first domain, it's an overview of incident response lifecycle. Domain 2 is understanding the threat landscape. Domain 3 is building an effective incident response capability. Domain 4 is preparing incident response investigations. Domain 5 is vulnerability assessment and management. Domain 6 is identifying network and system baselines. 7, indicators of compromise and threat identification. Domain 8 is investigative principles and lead development. Domain 9 is threat intelligence collection and analysis. Domain 10 is an overview of the data forensic analysis. Domain 11, host-based data collection practices. Domain 12 is network-based collection practices. Domain 13 is static dynamic malware triage. 14 is incident containment and remediation. 15 is incident reporting and lessons learned. 16, creating playbooks and response scenarios. So these are all really important elements of being an incident response person. And it's going to go through each of those domains in detail to equip you with the tools and the knowledge that you need to be an effective incident response person. And it's a very interesting, and it's all, as I say, this is all the methodology, right? This is before you actually get into the technical aspects of the course. So it's preparing you with that background knowledge It's equipping you about how you go about things and what you need to do before you actually get hands-on into, I suppose, the technical aspects of the course. So I'll just go back into and share the presentation again. And I'll hand over to Wade. Are you there, Wade?
Hi, Jeff. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. Just let me know
Okay, sure.
if you need to share your screen, mate. I'll stop sharing mine and you can share yours. But if you're just speaking, that's...
Unfortunately, I'm still driving.
Oh, you're driving.
Yeah, my apologies, but I can maybe talk for a bit.
All right. Well, I'll if you like, I can take them through the project areas screen there.
Yeah, sure. No, much appreciated. And I just say hi to everyone. That's absolutely a privilege to be here and later on to help you as one of the mentors, as Jeff mentioned earlier. Quickly, I'll just make sure that I'll share my knowledge with you guys. I've been in IT for quite some time, and I'm IT Ops Manager of ePay Australia and New Zealand, and security is part of it for sure. That's something that we deal with it, every day, just to ensure that we keep our assets secure and our and of course the users' assets as well, right? I've got my my postgraduate degree as well in cybersecurity and my certifications, cybersecurity ops manager certification and incident management, and I'll try my best to help you guys to get certified in incident management as you go through the course. And we're going to actually work on project areas, which I believe one of the best, virtual environments. You can practice your skills. It's a next generation training platform, and there are a bunch of tools that the real tools actually that you will work with them later on, your career. You have access to all of those tools. Not all of them. I mean the ones that are already available on project areas, but I mean the real tools. And I'll make sure that I answer your questions and I help you and make sure that I'm available most of the time. And if you can send me an email, give me a call if you have any questions. Sorry, I'm still driving, so I was hoping that I could, arrive earlier and I could share my presentation, but I hand it over to Jeff. Thank you very much, Jeff.
All right. Well, what you see on your screen at the moment is the project areas, what we call the battle rooms, and it's a cyber range. And this particular, we use this product to train students who have zero skills in cybersecurity, right through to candidates who already work in different areas of government or the commercial world, who already are expert in cybersecurity. So this tool, as I say, is a cyber range. It can be used individually to hone your skills with, or we have teams who do missions, as you're seeing on the screen here on the left-hand side, and above the top of the three menus. And when we train individuals, we start off in the battle rooms, and the battle rooms, I'll just quickly show you the battle rooms. So these are all of the battle room types that we go through, but in your course, we focus on battle rooms 9 and 11, forensics and system security analyst. And inside these rooms, you will do tasks. So I'll bring up one at the moment, which is the forensics area. And this is actually loading in real time. it's a system that sits inside Microsoft Azure, and each mission and each battle room loads up in real time. So it's loading up all of the elements that you would do in the battle room, and you can see there that I'm now connected. I will go back in a moment and show you some more about project areas, but I'll just show you these battle rooms that you will specifically be using in this in the incident response management. Pardon me. So each of you will have an individual login. Each session will be your own, and your scores as you go through this through project areas through the course over the 13 weeks will keep this information and your scores inside the system. And as you if you sign up for the course, we'll go through this with you in great detail so you know how to use it. We're here to train you and make sure that you get through these courses and you become expert incident response management people, right? So we're here to help you. If you're struggling or if you don't understand something, then Wade and I are here to take you through all of these things. We just don't say, here's project areas, read the question and hope you get through it. We're here to walk you through all of the elements and all of the tools. And as you go through these battle rooms, and I'll go through one in a moment, we train you in tools that we use in the field today, that all incident response and cybersecurity experts use. And one of those tools is autopsy. And autopsy is used to interrogate systems, their registry hives, and all sorts of areas of OS platforms, right? The operating platforms. And, you know, it's aptly named autopsy. And autopsy is generally looking either at static systems or live systems, but generally static systems, right? Because we're generally, as incident response people, we're called in after there's an event, right? Something's happened in the network and information's been stolen, it's been lost, systems have been compromised, networks have been brought down, and we're called in to identify how it's occurred, who did it, and how do we prevent it in the future, right? And autopsy is used to help us as incident response officers in identifying all of those elements as best we can. And that's one tool, right? And we use things also like AuthCrack. We'll train you in AuthCrack. And AuthCrack is used to crack passwords, crack LM hashes, and we use rainbow tables. We'll teach you all about rainbow tables. So, because as you're interrogating the systems, you need to be and think like the hacker. In effect, we train hackers, right? We train ethical hackers, and you need to think like they do. So you need to understand what they would do, how they would do it, where they would go, and what they've done with that information. Right? So, and other tools that we use that you'll be trained in are Wireshark and PowerShell for Windows PowerShell, we use that. And of course, Kali Linux. Kali Linux is the most popular tool used by individuals in the cybersecurity world who are technical, right? Not everyone will be a technical person, and certainly even in the space in cybersecurity, not all roles are technical. And this particular incident response management course that you're doing is one of 5 certification programs that we do in cybersecurity. And each one of them is a role in the cybersecurity space. But this particular course that we're looking at over the next 13 weeks is specifically incident response management. So if we look at the battle room, inside the battle room, you'll see a question, and the question will ask you to do a certain role. In this particular one, the objective is use Q&A portal, link on the desktop, submit the first 5 characters of the MD5 verification hash value for Steve Rogers' laptop. laptop E01, question 1. So this is Steve Rogers' laptop, and I can log on to Steve Rogers' laptop. Just remember, you don't need nothing on your device other than internet connectivity. This is all done in a virtual environment. Everything that you need, even the desktops, even the software, all of the snapshots, everything is provided to you. And on your screen now, you should have Steve Rogers' desktop. And inside that desktop, it functions like a real, or it is a real Windows desktop. And all the information and the tools that we're going to be using are all there for you to use, right? To go back into, to practice on. You don't need to put anything on your devices. You don't need to buy any licensing. You don't need to do anything on your personal devices. All the information will be provided for you. Going back into Project Aries, if I jump out of the battle rooms for a moment, it brings us back to the globe or the world, right? And you're seeing on your left-hand side, you're seeing red and blue tabs, right? These are our mission, red team mission scenarios, and these are our blue team mission scenarios, right? But the area that we're going to be mainly focusing on, I'll go back to the top, are the battle rooms, which I've just shown you. You'll also have access to the media center. So encapsulated inside the system is everything that you will need to learn about the subject that we're talking about. But it also has access information about everything else. There are full libraries in here that explain. So we've got general cybersecurity. This section is a library, is where you will find reference material, pardon me, and videos on general cybersecurity topics. Then we have defense specializations and offensive specializations, because in the real world, cybersecurity people are trained in both defensive and offensive techniques. As I say, we need to think like the hacker. And if we don't understand the attack elements of attacking a network, then it's very hard for us to become efficient as defense people, right? To defend networks. What do we need to put in place to mitigate? Because we're never going to 100% protect environments, right? I think you understand that as cybersecurity people. It's more around mitigation, because let's face it, those who are attacking organisations and doing the criminal element are trained the same way as we are. They know everything that we know. So once we put something in place to protect an environment, the criminal element is going to figure out a way to get around it, right? And all of this information is in here, right? And the other area are our cyber learning games, right? So we build into gamified solutions techniques about what you've got to know and what you've got to learn, and they're built into games. And you can use these in your own time to look at, right? So it is a fully immersed environment or cyber range that gives you hands-on experiences in real missions, real battle rooms, gives you the information that you need for research purposes, and teaches you how to use all of the tools that you're going to be using in the real world. Because let's face it, this system is a real world mission system. It is used by experts today in environments to keep their skills honed. As new threat landscapes or threat environments come out, they're built into this system so that they can be trained on them and to see what and how those scenarios play out in the real world, right? So it's a very powerful tool. It's used by, generally, it was originally built for the military, for US Cyber Command to train cyber defense people. And now we use it to train anybody and everybody in their environments. So as I say, there are two elements, the methodology element that we go through in the LMS to equip you with the knowledge about being an incident response person. And then we then go through the technical aspects about using the tools and allow you to experience real time about how you go about researching information as an analyst and a forensic analyst and an incident response person, and how you go about remediating those things as well. So that's a little bit about project areas. The other areas that we go into using Kali Linux is pen testing, things that you that would be utilised in a pen testing environment. We don't go into it in a great deal because it's a big subject, but we give you the experience and show you and demonstrate to you, and even in the course that you're currently doing, you would be probably familiar with Kali Linux and already be aware of it. We're going to give you some real hands-on stuff to do, because in the work integrated learning program, you are now working for me, and we are a team, and Wade and I are your mentors and managers who in the real world, we would work with you to give you tasks, and you will report back to us on how you go about, and the rest of the team, of course, about how you went around completing those tasks. Right? So it's a very powerful tool. The other areas that we look at, security awareness, the tools that we use when we're doing vulnerability checking of environments around awareness. Awareness is a really big area, and the awareness tools are used to test the knowledge of individuals who work in organisations. Now, these aren't technical people. These are everyday people playing their roles inside organisations, be it in the admin area, anybody who may use a computer in a company or a government agency to complete their day-to-day jobs. We have the tools that will infiltrate their environments and test their knowledge around email phishing, about malware, about all of the aspects that they're going to experience now, what they are experiencing in the real world from cyber criminals who are attempting to get information from them. We have the tools that can simulate all of those things because they're the same tools that hackers use. And we will demonstrate to you and involve you in setting up phishing simulations and embedding the code inside those simulations and then sending them out. Those of you who take up the course will be on both sides. You'll be preparing them, but you'll also be the person who is subject to being scammed as well, right? So you can see and practice, because we're going to give you, I will set you up, and initially I will be the scammer testing your knowledge, right? Now, you can't fail, right? You're not going to fail the exam if you're subject to a phishing scam that I send you. But it's to give you an idea of what people in the real world experience and what they're seeing. And I'm sure you already know that, right? I'm going to show you the other side from the cyber criminals aspect about how they build these things, right? And what tools they use to do it and how they can see what you're doing in real time. Whenever I do hackathons or demonstrations to company boards, I use these tools, especially where senior management at board level don't really think that cybersecurity is a threat until I demonstrate to them how I can harvest their credentials in real time, right? Once they see it happening and how easy it is for me to harvest the chairman's credentials, username and passwords, then their whole attitude changes around this is a real threat. Cyber security is something that is important to all of us. So I'm going to show you those tools, teach you those tools, and there's a couple of them that we use. And we use ourselves when we're doing this for customers, right? Because we are a real company that we're not just a training company. We are a cybersecurity operations organisation that consults to organisations and government about cybersecurity. And they get us to test their environments because we're ethical hackers, right? And part of that is to test their environments for vulnerabilities from externally and internally. And I'll take you all through that sort of stuff, and Wade will as well. So that's the course in a nutshell. I'm just going to take you back to the presentation to see if there's anything there that needs to be further addressed. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Just a moment, I'll show this presentation again. We'll take you down the list. Now, if you're asking any questions via text, I might need Jennifer to tell me because I've got all my screens occupied at the moment. So the live demo tools that we're using for pen testing and vulnerability, and of course, we've mentioned Wireshark. Lucy is our tool, but one of the tools that we use for vulnerability scanning. And just there, if you need to grab any of those things there, feel free. Certainly, if you want to look me, if you're on LinkedIn, you can look up both Wade and I on LinkedIn. And if you'd like to join Wade and I, please do so. And if you've got any questions, you can certainly ask those questions on via Jennifer, who you've been dealing with, or you can ask either Wade or myself on LinkedIn. And certainly Steve Ilborn's there as well. So is there any questions at all? Do we have any questions, Jen?
Not in the chat.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to the main screen. I'll find it. Welcome back, Steve. I didn't see you were back.
Oh, I came back a while back. I've just been listening in the background, waiting for you to finish. Well done. So yeah, any sort of general questions from anyone at this point? Okay, so there's been a lot of people. So that last slide, the last slide that Jeff presented just sort of showed the application process. So the email address jobs@itic.com.au with your CV. A lot of people on the call have already done that. So the next steps from here will be that Sam will contact all of you and discuss the process. And I'm just looking into Bex just saying focus is more on incident response. So that's correct. So the curriculum that we're doing is around incident response as part of the work integrated learning. We will cover some pen testing and those sort of things in the tools that sort of just talked about or mentioned. But certainly from a certification perspective, having the incident response certification is a good thing, given that it links to job roles specifically within the cyber industry. Some of the other certifications that you can do, particularly around the pen testing and those sort of things, is around the certified ethical hacking. So we don't do that as part of this program, but we certainly can separately as well. So Jeff, did you just want to finish it off by covering the clearances?
Yeah. So one of the areas that you may be eligible for as well, which we can sponsor you in as well, is the Australian Government Security Vetting Agency. So if you're an Australian citizen and you're considering a role in any of the agencies within the federal government arena, then you would be subject to needing security vetting clearances to go for those roles. And we have we are a member of the Defence Industry Security Program, so we have the ability to also sponsor and certify you for those security vetting agency qualifications as well. It's not for everyone, but we do have candidates who often we go through and make you aware of what's involved in those security clearances as well. So and getting back to the incident response program, a lot of the in incident response, you don't need to be technical, and we train that both sides, right? Because incident response teams are made up of non-technical people and technical people. What we do in the program is to give you an opportunity, even if you aren't technical or not going to be technical, the ability to see and practice and have a hands-on and get familiar with what colleagues that you will be working with would be doing. And that's what we do in the cyber range. And you don't need to have any technical knowledge to go through the cyber range, because we're going to teach you those things. All the tools are available to you. How to do each of the battle room exercises is all stepped out step by step by step. That's just to give you and familiarise you with what's involved in that side of the industry, so you're familiar with it when you do go into the industry and you're working with colleagues. But if you are a technical person, then it also meets that criteria as well. You can take it to the next level. This is going to take you through those things, introduce you, get your hands on, and then you can go to the next levels from a technical point of view on whatever tools that or whatever side of cybersecurity you're going to go through. But having incident response certifications and skills, as I say, is the most sought after. Next to pen testing. Pen testing is very sought after, but incident response management or an incident response officer, having those skills and that knowledge and that certification sort of covers every area of cybersecurity. That knowledge gives you every aspect of cybersecurity and what's involved. And that's pretty much what I've got to say, Steve, unless there's any questions from anyone.
Yeah, we have two questions from the chat.
Yep.
So one question is relating to visa status. Ranjit is asking, what about visa holder? Do you have any particular requirement? I'm not sure if that's related to the program in general or the security clearance you're mentioning, Jeff.
Oh, sure, no. So the only reason we talk about the security clearance part is just to familiarise you with that area should you wish to go down that path. To do this course and to all other areas of the commercial space, security clearances aren't required, right? It's only if you have any future, if you were trying to get into the Australian Defence Forces or any of the government federal agencies, then you may need to have security clearances, right? But other than that, for all of the commercial-based work, there is no security clearance. They'll have their own formats. Banks have their own formats that don't require you to be. There is no obligation to be an Australian citizen. The only obligation to be an Australian citizen for security clearance is if you go into any of the military agencies in Australia. Very, very similar to any country. They have their sovereignty regulatory requirements. And we talk all about that, right? We talk about the regulatory and risk and governance requirements for sovereignty. And we touch on mainly the Australian pieces, but certainly if anyone's got questions about any other of the, because each country in the world has their own sovereign requirements when it comes to cybersecurity. and about risk. And we talk about all of those things in the course.
And one other question is from Moranka. I think it's a better question just to you, Steve. He's asking, or she, sorry, do we have to pay for the incident response manager program?
Yeah, so there's for the certification program, there's a cost for tuition, which if you express interest, Sam will contact you and talk through. But generally, the certification, including the exam, is $1,500.
And just to add to that, that does include the certification course, which is about $500 US.
Yeah, correct. So there's a cost for the course, there's a cost for the exam, and then there's a cost for the license to use the Project Aries cyber range. So that's all included in that, as well as instruction, tuition, and mentoring for the program.
Alrighty. If there's no further, oh no, we've got someone typing. I'll just wait. I can see someone typing away. But if you think of any questions after this session, okay, we've got a question. If you don't mind, can you please send me the details? Everyone's email, it will be good for us to understand. Okay. Yeah, so Jen will send all the information out that you need. So if you have any questions after this session's over, just reach out to Jennifer and Jennifer will answer any questions that you have, send it back to you.
Yes, so we'll be sharing a recording of this session today, and I'll include the contact details of myself and Sam, who can help you as well. And you can feel free to reach out if you have any questions that you have later on.
So it's been a pleasure speaking with you all this morning, and thank you very much for taking time out this morning to allow Steve, Wade, and Jennifer and for us to present to you. And hopefully you all want to be incident response cybersecurity people. I'm sure you'll be great at it. But we've got one more question, I think. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your kind words. And hopefully I'll see you all in the future. Steve, I'll hand back to you.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Really appreciate your attendance. As Jen said, Jenny and Sam will be in contact, and we look forward to semester 2. So have a great day, and thank you all very much.
Bye everyone.